Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Uncancelable special because, well, I think all four of us have been attempted cancelling at various points. So it's the two troublemakers below me on the screen who've really basically caused a national scandal.
I regret nothing, Tim. I regret absolutely nothing.
So we've got Dave, the now infamous editor of the XYZ, and Maddie, you got banned from Twitter, but you deleted your Facebook.
Oh yeah, I got banned from Twitter years ago, and I deleted my own Facebook in, when was it, 2000 or New Year's Eve 2018, New Year's Day 2018, I should say. It's good because they put you in Facebook jail for nothing, for just saying you know, if you're not for doing anything wrong, really, just saying things that communists don't like. And when you're in Facebook jail, you can't use Facebook Messenger at all. So and then people message you and you can't message them back. So I thought, well, this is ridiculous. If people want to message me, I'm just going to get them to message me on my phone. So I deleted it and I said, stuff them. If you want to contact me directly. And I haven't regretted it since. It's been great. Facebook's toxic. It's disgusting. And I set up a Gab and a Minds, and now I've got a Parler. I do have a secret Twitter account, which is great, which is fun for trolling people and trolling communists. But that's not really. That's more for entertainment.
We've been enjoying your secret Twitter account, Matty. You've been very good.
I don't know what you're talking about. What secret account?
Yeah, I haven't come across it.
You haven't come across it, haven't you? I think you might have, actually.
You may well have, Tim.
Yeah, probably.
Your secret's safe with me. Your secret's safe with me, Matty.
Yeah, Dave's good at keeping secrets now.
Sorry, I was just saying the funniest thing about this is the funniest thing about my Twitter trolling account, because I'll say things. I do vent. Sometimes I'll vent a little bit because it's basically anonymous, and it's like whatever. I'll just say it. It's things that maybe I don't exactly completely 100% mean because it's anonymous. But also I will say things and express many opinions that I express on camera here, and probably every other day you'll get a communist saying, "Oh, what a coward! You're saying all these things anonymously. Oh, I'll put your face to it." I just think, you're an idiot. What are you, idiot? I don't put my face to this every single day, so I just laugh at them. I laugh at them. I think it's funny. All they want to do is dox you, which is, you know, I don't care. Whatever.
It's all part of the game. It's all part of the game.
We're also the undoxables. You can't cancel us. You can't dox us.
You can't dox. We doxed ourselves.
Well, that's why I just thought, you know what, I'm not going to be anonymous. I'll use a stage name, but that's all.
Sort of like, because Medi Rose is your stage name. Sort of how like
rolls off the tongue a little better.
Yeah, like Lady Gaga is a stage name, and so is Tina Turner.
Kind of like Slack Bastard is a stage name for Peter Duggan,
yeah. And the other communists down at the ABC.
Yeah, and the
communist terrorists,
brothers.
you know.
Are you sure it's a stage name? Because I mean, you know, Bob Geldof started the trend with Fifi Trixabel and Peaches whatever. So I'm not sure anymore that these stage names are stage names anymore. They started naming children in really weird ways. A couple of decades ago. So.
Just something of note. Just something of note. Isn't the picture on Steve's camera quite funny? He kind of looks like he's got a green screen and he's cut out. I mean, he's actually, to me, he looks like he's sort of electronically generated. Are you real, Steve?
I'm channeling a program called Max Headroom from the 80s.
Fair enough.
And you're also
I'm gonna glitch in a minute.
You're in Facebook jail at the moment, Stephen. So you're, as we're saying tonight, attempted cancelling.
Yeah, well, it's funny that I actually have got my messenger working. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to contact me for this. So I'm sure they'll close that loophole soon. So yeah, I got a 30-day ban, and then halfway through my 30-day ban, I've got another notification saying that I've offended again. I basically went on a spree for about 2 weeks before I banned. I was getting kind of upset and jealous because all of these people were getting banned around me, and I was saying all of these offensive things, and it just wasn't working. So I really went all out the last 2 weeks before I got my ban to post as many offensive memes as possible and say as many offensive, even more offensive things on top of them. And so, yeah, they've got me now, and I'm assuming as soon as I get back, I'll be banned again. It's quite fun. I got banned from Twitter, I think, within a week of actually going on the platform. So I'd resisted having more than one social media account. And then when I've launched my books, I decided, oh, well, I suppose I better get a Twitter to help promote it a bit. And I lasted about a month before they banned me, and I didn't go back. So
what you need to do is just download all your pictures off Facebook and just delete your account. Everyone needs to delete their account from Facebook.
I actually didn't bother to back up my Facebook when I got disabled on Australia Day, the photos I had, because, well, a lot of those photos were quite cringe, so I was happy for Facebook to just wipe them, cleanse them from the internet.
Fair enough. I had a lot of pictures that I wanted to keep. I actually turned them into an album. That's the thing. I downloaded a whole lot of pictures, and I just took probably about 100, 200 pictures that I really liked, and I put them into a real photo album. You know, something that I can actually. What are those things? Yeah. I'm going to make another photo album. They're great photo albums.
We've got our first super chat on Entropy. Please come and join us on Entropy if you're in the YouTube live chat. We're, of course, on D Live as well. On Entropy, you can send through a super chat, ask us a question, and our poll tonight, which is, what is your favorite free speech social media platform? I managed to figure out how to do more than 2 options tonight. So is it Gab, Telegram, Parler, or Minds? So the super chat is from Senator Slayer for $3 Australian. Tim is drunk tonight like Dia. Well, let's see how the show goes, and we'll have the audience be the judge of that.
Is Tim drunk? Are you drunk tonight like Dia was last night? Apparently.
No, I'm not.
Apparently she was drunk last night. Is that rumor true?
Well, watch her stream live replay.
With Bearing, she actually got Bearing on, did she?
Yes.
Good for her.
Oh, really?
All right, let's talk about, well, what's the expression? Actions have consequences, and this was the email you got, Dave, from Facebook Tuesday afternoon. Yeah, you caused the national pylon and outrage on the Monday morning.
Yes, mind you, so it's clear, it was actually a guest who wrote that satire. I wish I could take credit for it, but it wasn't me.
Hello, your page XYZ has been removed for violating our terms of use. It should be called terms of publishing. A Facebook page is a distinct presence used solely for business or promotional purposes. I didn't know that.
It kind of is.
Yeah, among other things, pages that are hateful, threatening, or obscene are not allowed. We also
like the ABC.
Yeah, like every mainstream media page, every single one.
We also take down pages that attack an individual or group, or that are set up by an unauthorized individual. If you're
like bastard.
Yeah. Basically, they're saying they can take down any page for any reason they want, and they still want to, but they still get to retain platform immunity, which is a joke. They shouldn't have platform immunity. They're not platforms; they're publishers. They should lose immunity. Yeah. If there was justice, they'd lose immunity. But because the fact that they're not going to lose immunity, or they probably won't, just shows you how broken the system is, and just how corrupted it is. And basically, unless we can if we can't even get that fixed. If we can't even get the law enforced to big tech to actually make them follow the law and act as neutral platforms as they say they are, and not commit fraud and not commit treason and incite violence through censorship, if we can't even get them to do that, then what's the point of even having this system? I say we just let it burn, let the system burn and build our own, because this is, if we can't even fix something as simple as that, then we can't fix anything. There's nothing, we can't fix anything.
As we pointed out through like our little interjections in their letter, basically what they're saying is there's a rule for you and there's no rules for us. Exactly. Because we've just pointed out, look, there are all these other people who would fall under that under that definition, but you're not doing anything about them because they're on your side. You're on their side.
Oh, so they basically copied the British legal justice system, Facebook. It seems.
Well, there's no rule of law. Like, there's no rule of law in any of the systems. So why would Facebook act as though there is rule of law? It's obviously all arbitrary rule, and they know that. So they're just operating under the assumption, the correct assumption right now, that they are the ruling class and they can do whatever they want.
Yes.
Here's the thing. I mean, this system that can't last for long, and can already see that the system's destabilizing over in the United States, and it's destabilizing everywhere. The cracks have been showing for the last few years, and they're just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's going to collapse eventually, unless someone like us actually takes over and does what's needed. What's needed, but that's never going to happen. So the system's just going to collapse.
It's probably going to change via the Doctor Who crack in reality that you've got in that door behind you.
That wooden door.
Oh yes, the crack is back tonight.
I'm waiting for the bright lights to start shining through it, and then for the weeping angels to come through or something.
I'm just wondering how come wooden doors are so weak. They're pretty easy to kick through, if you ask me. Those are hollow. Those wooden doors. It's just something about them. It's just they're not that strong. I mean, a metal door would be a little bit stronger. Maybe if it was like a really thick wooden door, but even then, you could probably kick through it with enough people. If you had like a dozen people,
they're designed that way. They're designed that way so that the communist Gestapo can break down your door when the time comes.
Yeah, but hopefully I'll be out of the city by then. But who knows?
Yeah, haven't got much time left, probably. I mean, you're in Melbourne. You're in the Melbourne area. I mean, I'm in Perth. I've got a bit longer than you.
Maybe. we see. The thing is, it's Melbourne is basically a communist multicultural dystopia at this point. But the rest of Victoria is not too bad. I mean, you got some.
Not all of Melbourne. Hashtag not all of Melbourne.
Yeah.
I mean,
basically the western suburbs it's the northern suburbs and the western suburbs, and one or two in the southeast are overrun.
Yeah.
And a couple in the east.
Build a wall around that. Build a wall around that. Yeah.
I think what we need to do is basically build a wall around everything but Bayside and the eastern suburbs from Mitcham out.
Don't forget Frankston.
I think you need to be far enough away so that you don't get affected by the nuclear bomb when we drop it.
Well, that's also a perfectly good option. I've got no problem with that.
City of Frankston, where I live, is still coronavirus free despite the surge. Shall I bring up the updated hotspots map here? Now, Stephen, you're not a Melburnian. You're in the WA self-isolated state, even though you're still taking federal money.
What do you mean taking federal money? We'll give you all our GST. What more do you want?
Oh, GST, that hardly raises much. All right, so this is coronavirus in Victoria by local government area or council area. 148 active cases. Even though we had, Daniel Andrews announced that there were 33 new cases today, there was only a jump of 10 active cases since yesterday. So even though there were 33 new cases today, it would appear that 23 have recovered. But the grey in rural and regional Victoria is 0 coronavirus cases. Now, if I zoom in here into Melbourne, you can see in the northwest, city of Brimbank and city of Hume, they're the red, the alarming figures there. The sort of light white, sort of light green, that is where they're rising, and the bright green there is only 1 or 2 cases. So that's where I am there. Oh, city of Frankston, coronavirus free. And they've basically admitted now
do they have a is there a map for concentration of heroin users there as well, Tim? Can we bring that one up as well?
Hey, the Bogan wall around Frankston seems to be holding up. Bogans,
Because of
they're a bit rough around the edges, but they're
they're good people.
Yeah,
yeah, they're good people.
They work in the sunshine, so they don't get coronavirus. Or whatever it is that they're telling us is going around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vitamin D.
Vitamin D, yeah. Get the vitamin D in you, you'll be fine.
And basically, the Andrews government has admitted that, yeah, it's an outbreak in Melbourne's multicultural and ethnic communities.
That's racist.
That's racist.
That's racist.
So he's basically, it's like, I like Dave's article on that today, where it's basically they couldn't blame the Black Lives Matter protests, so they had to blame immigrants. It was like, what do we do? What do we do? Do we blame the protests or do we blame the immigrants?
I'm surprised they didn't blame the XYZ, to be honest with you. I mean, they had the option.
It was an XYZ satire article that did it. Yeah, that's it. I do find it very, very interesting, like just the timeline. Like October last year, Daniel Andrews signs up to the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative, which is basically a form of Chinese colonialism. They build the infrastructure, they take it back when you can't pay them back. So then, this year, tensions are high with China. The federal government, and in particular America, they realize that they can't afford a rogue state in Australia with a little tin pot dictator with giant dick ears for ears. They can't allow them to make a deal with a foreign enemy, which will basically give China a backdoor to Australia. So last week, this conveniently high quality video comes out of that little Turk saying stuff, like nobody's ever heard of this guy. Like he's
we haven't forgotten Somniac, though. We haven't forgotten about
no, of course not. And so then over the weekend, a new coronavirus spike of 40 people has been found in Victoria. It's incredible.
The 8th consecutive day of double-digit new cases.
Double
digits.
the impact.
Yeah,
double the coronavirus.
And so now 1,000 Australian troops are being deployed in Victoria. Victoria is basically occupied territory. It's retaken. The message sent to Dick Ears Dan is you're basically a caretaker.
I've been
they could get rid of him.
I've been thinking this week as well. I don't call him Dick Ears. I've been calling him Dickhead Dan, but he's basically Fuckwit Dan now.
Now, Tim, we don't need to be crass.
Yeah, the XYZ.
You want us to get us banned on Facebook, or what are you doing? Just cut that out.
The XYZ is never crass.
I would never use such crass language. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I did enjoy my headline regarding the ABC, the ABC having to get rid of another 200 jobs.
Oh yes, let's have a look at.
They had a massive sook. They were all over Twitter. They were all over Twitter today, sooking about it. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Hashtag learn to code. Every time a mainstream media journalist loses their job, a new fairy and a new angel is born. That's true.
Yeah. Let's have a look at another one of your poorly labeled satire articles, David. ABC managing director denies having sex with a pig.
I'm basically at the point where I'm just making shit up.
Yeah. That's what they do. They make things up every day.
That's the point.
Every single day, I reckon every day for probably the last 2-3 weeks, they've had an article, a race baiting article saying, we've got to stop race. Got to stop the race. Every single day for the last at least 2 to 3 weeks, I reckon. Yeah. Every day.
When Black Lives Matter are literally tearing our cities apart. Yeah. But it's the race you got to worry about.
Yeah. But the thing is, if you go and this is the funniest thing about Twitter these days. I don't know what's happened, but if you go and look at the ABC's Twitter account, every time they post an anti-white article, an article which is basically anti-white activism saying, the racism are the worst people ever, they get reamed in the comment. Like they get absolutely torn to shreds. There are people just saying, stop race baiting, you're race baiting, this is crap, give us our taxpayer money back. And then basically probably 9 out of 10 comments are just absolutely tearing them a new one, which is excellent. It's really, really good because they are overstepping their bounds. Where in their charter does it say where in their charter does it say it's okay for them to become racial anti-white activists? I don't think it's anywhere in their charter that it says that that's acceptable. They're supposed to represent the entire community, but here they are literally attacking probably about 75% of us, 75, 80% of taxpayers.
It's amazing, isn't it? Because like you, every now and then you will actually get, if you trap an ABC apologist, then their next go-to lie is that, well, we have to counter the right-wing commercial press. But you look at the commercial press; they're just as anti-white as the ABC now as well.
Yeah, big time. Even Murdoch's gone full on. I think they toned it down a little bit. They got reamed hard, and they've almost gone, what? Maybe we probably shouldn't be taking this line. But they would push it if they could.
News.com.au, which is their free online website, is basically a far left communist rag. All their writers are basically. They've got some form of, I wouldn't even say minority status, just say approved identity status.
There's a lot of homos.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys forget though that there is Rowan Dean and Andrew Bolt. I mean, obviously that proves that they need the ABC to counter such fascist ideology.
Yeah, that's it. And also Rita Panahahi. Panahahi. Whatever her name is.
She's as Aussie as Don Bradman, that Rita Panahahi.
Oh, exactly. I mean, look at her. Look at her.
Did you know that?
She's one hood short of a terrorist attack. Jeez.
Did you know that she's also a dual American citizen as well? Dual Australian American. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. Well, all I know is that she's Iranian. I mean, she's actually all right. I shouldn't make fun of her too much. She's
our greatest non-white ally.
Yeah, basically.
I thought Israel Folau was.
She's our second greatest non-white ally. Yeah.
Why? Because she's a woman and Israel Folau's a man.
No, because Israel Folau is Israel Folau.
Israel Folau's done more. Israel Folau has done more for the culture wars than Rita Panahahi.
Yeah.
Hello, Rita P.
Rita P.
When people say that Sky News has a conservative lineup, that's between 5 p.m. and 11:30 p.m. on weeknights. If you watch their daytime coverage, it's pretty much standard leftist journalism. Tom Connell, the skinny young blonde-haired guy, he's easily the worst.
There's a very easy, there's a very cliched old line now that the left always lie and the left always project. But there is also another one where the way that the leftists, they don't really say it anymore these days because they know how ridiculous it is. But they used to say things like, well, when conservatives seek balance, they consider it left-wing bias to defend the ABC. But it's actually true about News Limited, even though it's not even balanced, it's controlled opposition. So when the left see controlled opposition, they think it's far right. They are so intolerant of anyone disagreeing with them that even pretending, even hinting at, because there are more counter views, but even hinting at the fact that there are alternative views in their mind means that you're biased and you're far right and you should be shut down. They're scum. We need to shut down the ABC. We need to make communism illegal, and we need to deport every foreigner. This is the solution to every single problem every single threat facing this country today. But unfortunately, again, we aren't the ruling class. The ruling class are the ruling class, and they have their agenda, and that is completely against our interests.
Imagine if the 1950s referendum had passed to basically ban communism in Australia when it was put forward by Sir Robert Menzies. The Labor opposition at the time opposed it.
It wouldn't have done a thing because they'd already opened up the immigration.
Not in the 50s.
Yeah, not in the 50s.
It was already well on the way.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they opened it up to the outer European people.
Yeah.
The Greeks and Italians.
Yeah. So
that was the wedge.
it might have worked. What the founders needed to do was to put racial homogeneity as a primary role, like keeping Australia ethnically homogenous as the constitutional requirement of the government, and making it illegal for them to pass any law that would threaten that. But they didn't put that in the Constitution. They needed to put firearm for self-defense in the Constitution as well. But they didn't do those things, and now the Constitution is almost not worth the paper it's written on. They don't even, the left don't care about it. The ruling class don't care about the Constitution. We'll have
flamethrower tanks in the next Constitution. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's right. We'll have a beefed up Second Amendment. We'll have a real Second Amendment. No infringing on the rights to bear arms, up to and including military grade firearms for the average infantryman.
I want my own tactical nuke.
Yes.
So
bazookas, automatic weapons, grenades, flamethrowers, all of it. That's all, and tanks. If it's single-man tanks.
And then abandon Melbourne because about 100,000 tactical nukes will hit it simultaneously, I'd say.
Oh, David.
Yeah. None of us live in the...
Why was what I said too far? Come on.
Maddie just likes to berate us if we say something outrageous to sort of make him feel better about what he says.
Yeah, I like to virtue signal. I'm virtue signaling.
Yeah. This is the Uncancelables, Maddie.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at these glorious ABC funding cuts in detail. So ABC Live, remember that horrible website, more like ABC No Life, will become ABC Local and have a broader editorial direction. The travel budget will be cut by 25%. So that means that Alex Mann and Osman Faruqi can't fly from Sydney to Melbourne to ambush David McMahon and Trilby Steinberger to ask whether they're David Clarkson or not. That was an ABC background briefing episode co-produced with ABC No Life. That's such a shame. Spending on internal and independent television productions will be cut by $5 million a year. The ABC comedy television channel will be branded to cater for a broader array of programs and content. Well, ABC comedy was basically a consumer fraud channel. It wasn't funny at all.
Just to interrupt, sorry, I just checked. I just had a quick look at Twitter, and defund the ABC is a hashtag trending.
Oh, good.
Yes.
I wonder if we can get the hashtag tactically nuke the ABC.
But the thing is, the funny thing about the Twitter hashtags is a non-left hashtag starts trending, so all the leftists start using it.
Yeah.
In order, they start using it, but the only way to beat that is to just start trending. You just start hashtagging theirs with your own comments. It's like they always try to hijack it. They can't handle it. They just can't handle.
They didn't like White Strike this week.
Yeah, they didn't. They
really didn't like that at all. Yeah.
Remember ABC comedies, its signature programs and iconic moments, Tom Ballard's Tonightly, and also Demi Lardner's dance songs. You don't remember those?
Nah.
I'm a foreigner, so I wouldn't. Yeah, I'm one of the guys that's going to be deported.
All right, so they're going to lease some space at their ABC Sydney headquarters, which is in the suburb of Ultimo, which is right next to the University of Technology, Sydney and Chinatown. And TV and radio broadcast channel will remain, but transmission cuts have been flagged for future years. And they've also axed their flagship 7:45 AM radio news bulletins and will be replaced by a 5-minute bulletin at 8 AM and a 10-minute bulletin at 7 AM. Which,
how are they going to cram like so much anti-whiteism into like less minutes?
Well, that's the whole thing. Like, it's... And Paul Murray made this point this morning that he's worked in radio, and the same people who read out the 6 o'clock 6 o'clock news are the same people who read out the 7, 8 a.m. And so what, do they have a whole dedicated production team just for that 15-minute news bulletin that they have to cut?
Of course. You think about any government operation, they'll have 10 times more administrators than they will have actually people doing the show or doing the work. Anything. Look at hospitals. I find it quite interesting actually to look at all of the things that they're cutting. That it seems to me that they're deliberately cutting things that's going to make it appear that they're hurting so badly.
Yes,
but
they always do it.
They always do that, and it's the same in any public government-run thing. When government comes in and cuts a budget, that all the government does is say, okay, we're going to remove this amount of money from you, and we will leave it up to you, the administrators, to decide where those cuts happen. And of course, it's the administrators that most need to be cut, but they're the ones in control of deciding where the cuts go. So in the hospitals, you'll find store people being fired left, right, and centre, and then lo and behold, the next government gets told that patient supplies aren't arriving on time, and they reinstate the budget again. And when they reinstate the budget, they never re-employ all of the store people. They just employ an extra administrator and employ half the store people again, and it goes on and on and on.
Welcome to parasitism. That's what parasitism. That's communism.
Yeah.
Parasitism. That's why taxpayer funded anything other than defence, police, and courts are justified. It's the job of the government to defend property. And that's property counts as the person, like people. Our bodies are our property, as well as our land, as well as our ethnic homogeneity,
and our women,
and our women, societal trust. All these things are our property. Of course, our women are our property. Duh.
Yeah.
Not yours. Not yours though. You're not married.
There's only one gender, male. Women are property.
Yeah. Well, God made women for the man. Let's not forget that.
That's it.
He did specifically made
I'm
it.
still wondering whether the rib was a good trade.
Well, I don't know. I think it probably was. I've got the extra rib back.
We've got a backlog of super chats in Entropy, which is pleasing. First one is from Naughty Design for $5 US. Thank you. I swear the people I know have no interest in understanding what is going on. They deliberately will not even look at this. I think is referring to the second wave of the coronavirus. So I saw Andrew Bolt's column today, which was quite blunt, basically saying that this second wave is due to multiculturalism.
The first wave was due to multiculturalism. It's all due to multiculturalism. But at least he's saying it, so it's good. It's all. Like, if we had closed borders and an ethno state, there would have been no coronavirus outbreak. And that's it. And that's assuming that it's actually the real deal, which we're not questioning the narrative here. We are on YouTube. You're not allowed to question it. But you know, if you were to look at the data and come to your own conclusions, well, that's on you. But whatever you do, don't do that.
Yeah, whatever you do, don't buy my book, The Great Censored Swindle, because it's censored.
Everything's censored.
So we've got them for sale now on the Unshackled store, which is not just, well, the name of our website, but the books are unshackled from the censorship. I might as well use this opportunity. So if you go to...
Don't use the word, otherwise they'll shut down the stream.
How do you publish a book, by the way? I mean, I've thought about it, but I don't know how to publish a book. I figure you just write it and give it away.
Yeah, you write it and then you stick it up on a platform. Like I stuck mine up on Amazon, and it was okay for the first one. You just upload it and then they do the rest for you.
What, do they actually do the printing and deliver it? Like
yeah,
they
print on demand. They've got a print on demand service. So rather than printing like 1,000 copies, if you order a book, they've got some kind of machine that allows them to just print the one copy without costing them too much.
Really, how much does that cost per copy?
Well, I mean, I'm selling. It costs me, like, if I'm printing 100 copies of my first book, it was costing me something like $12 a book per book to print 100.
Yeah,
and Amazon was cheaper. So Amazon are printing their books. They're charging me less money than it was costing me to print my own. So
that's interesting. I might have to look into that. But still, even it's Amazon, and they're just as sensitive. They're also a platform. You know, they're a platform. But the thing is, it's even worse when they censor, because they're not the ones doing the business. All they do is actually link you up with someone else who's doing business, who you're doing business with. They're just a facilitator, but they just basically they just say you're not allowed to do business with independent people through. So that Amazon's censorship is even worse than the rest of them. But again, like I said before, if we can't even get tech censorship fixed, then we can't get anything fixed. We may as well just let it all.
I find it funny. The new I got my first. So I uploaded it with the modified title and the modified text, basically by removing coronavirus from the title and removing coronavirus and COVID-19 from all of the text. I went through the whole thing just for the hell of it and uploaded it as the Great Censored Swindle, and it miraculously got accepted like that, and I've sold 20 copies of the Great Censored Swindle. It just
that's magnificent. That's magnificent.
How much do you sell them for?
Same price as I'm selling them at home. So I'm selling them like $10 the digital downloads, and I think $5.
Yeah, I'll bring it up.
$5 American. Yeah, I have to do it in American, so it's kind of weird. So I think it works out about $15 the printed copy.
I'm gonna have to write a book. I don't know what I'm going to write about, Dave. Dave, what should I write about?
God.
The Lord.
Yeah, write about God.
God's already got his own book.
And it's available
for free. That's a good point.
Maybe.
Talk about Christian. Write a book about Christian nationalism.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
Would that get past the censors though?
Oh well, Stevens managed to.
Nothing you would write get past the censors without you.
You can call it.
Yeah, you just have to put the word censored in front of every sensitive word. So,
Christian nationalism. What I mean is, would Christian nationalism would they be okay with a book called something like The Rising Christian National or the Christian Nationalist Solution?
If you sell it on the unshackled.net, we won't censor any of it.
Well, I know that, but I mean, Amazon could be a really good way of writing something like that and getting it published and actually getting it to a wider audience, and maybe making a quid out of it, even though you'd be making $50.
The thing was with Amazon, it's like when when my wife had a music career, and you got your CD and you're thinking of putting it in a shop, or if you're thinking of putting a book in a shop. At the end of the day, Amazon have got how many millions of books up for sale, so it really doesn't actually help you sell very many copies unless people actually know you've got a book out, because it's basically just get lost.
Well, yeah, that's right.
Lost off the feed. So
I understand that. So I understand that.
You're more likely to get the wider audience from the XYZ than you are from Amazon. I only put the second copy back up on Amazon because there were people in America who knew me, and Canada and the UK. And they wanted to buy a copy, but I couldn't send it to them from Australia without charging them $20 plus for delivery, because the government's done another wonderful piece of bureaucracy with the coronavirus and said that it's dangerous to send books and things as a letter format because people might get coronavirus. Therefore, you must send them as a parcel. So I'm having to charge anybody I send a book to overseas parcel rates instead of letter rates, because even though the book fits in a letter, it will be picked up. And so the lady at the post office says, "No, I've been told I'm not allowed to do this. They'll shut down my post office business if I do it, if I get caught." So I'm sorry. Rather than costing $5 to send it to Britain, or $10 at the most, it's costing me up to $30 to send both books.
Wow. So coronavirus is the new anthrax.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, it definitely sounds like a really good way of actually getting a physical copy of a book to someone. Yeah, and I'd definitely be. If I was going to write it, I wouldn't be using Amazon to advertise. It'd be just the purchase mechanism.
Purchase mechanism, yeah.
Hey, Maddie, people in the chat are saying that you should write a book on wooden doors. Maybe the history of wooden doors.
The history of wooden doors.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe with some real life experimental examples.
Yes.
Potentially, yeah.
Cracks in reality. The history of wooden doors.
I actually like that. I like that a lot.
Oh,
I like that.
I'll go on to.
I wish I could. I wish I could write fiction. I can't. I've tried writing fiction. I'm horrendous. I can't write.
It's because you can't lie. It's because you can't lie.
Exactly. I know. I can't. I'm too much of an honest artist. It doesn't work. I try doing. I could probably write kids stories. I could probably write a really basic fiction. But I can't write
King James Bible for kids.
That's kind of like that doesn't make sense.
Or just a condensed kids versions.
It is right. You can write. You're right. You can write up the Bible stories, but I don't know if there'd be some stories that you wouldn't want to put in there, like how they one guy stole gold out of Jericho, so they stoned him and his entire family, and how Lot's two daughters got him drunk and raped him while he was asleep, and those two daughters became, I think, the Moabites and the Moabites and someone else. I can't remember.
You do a whole book on leavened bread.
Leavened, yeah. There's a whole chapter.
I'm currently reading through Leviticus, and I've gone through Exodus. I've gone through Exodus, and so
King James, yes.
I'm just going on and on and on about all the various
the sacrifices,
rites and things, and it's like, for this sin, and then it's the exact same thing, and then this.
Wait until you get to Numbers. Numbers is hilarious. It's like, and then the tribe of the Levites, they gave up 1 gold spoon, 1 gold spoon, 5 oxen, 3 cattle, and there's the next one. They gave up 1 gold spoon, 5 oxen, 3 cattle, and their number was 45,000, and it just goes through it.
And I'm reading this, and as I was reading through this section, I was talking to Dia, and Dia was like, "Yeah, but you make sure when you read it with an open heart." I'm like,
yeah. So, poor old Dia. I mean, you wait until you get to Timothy. Book of Timothy that very clearly says, "I'll suffer a woman not to taste."
All I can say is that every time I'm in Woolworths now, looking at the leavened bread,
sinful. Don't offer a sacrifice with leavened bread. It's an abomination to the Lord. It's like a leavened bread sacrifice. Thankfully, all those are gone with Christ. Thank the Lord for that. Are you up to Leviticus 20 yet? Well, Leviticus 19 is pretty good too.
Yeah, on that, Matty.
Leviticus 20 is fantastic.
That's your book, Matty. You should write an entire book on Leviticus 20 or 19 or whatever it is.
I probably could write an entire book on Leviticus 19.
A history of stoning by Matty Rose.
It's like, thou shalt not suffer a wizard to live. That's not suffer a witch to live. So here, if man lie with beast, he shall surely be put to death. It's an abomination.
Fair enough too.
Yeah, exactly. So much.
So it sounds like an ABC managing director. Yeah.
That's satire.
But there's some. I'm telling you, there's.
All I know is that since we've strayed from the Bible, New Zealand became a thing. You know.
That's a bit of a lame joke.
New Zealand should actually be part of Australia. Like, we offered them to be part of the
no, but these days
thou shalt not lie with beasts, David. So
Thou shalt not lie with beasts.
Maybe we dodged a bullet. Yeah.
Well, to have New Zealand as the seventh state of Australia, it's actually the left they're advocating it for as a secret plot to make Jacinda Ardern Prime Minister of Australia and New Zealand.
I'm thinking fourth dimensionally, though. I'm thinking in 50 years' time when there's a nationalist revolution in New Zealand as well. That could be just as based.
Sort of like how the ADF has. Well, they've actually been stopped at the border. The breaking news: ADF have been stopped at the border. So
by Chinese troops.
Well, apparently there's been a last minute rescinding by Dan Andrews for the ADF to come in.
He must have read my piece.
Sorry, Tim. I just want to hijack and go back to the Bible for just two last points.
It's not Bible stream.
I just want to do one last point. Firstly, everybody should read it. You will be shocked if you read it. There's things in there you just will blow your mind. Like, holy crap! I didn't know this was in there. That's and I remember what it is. Did you know that it's actually Jesus that destroys Sodom and Gomorrah? Do you know it's Jesus?
That's awesome.
It's Jesus. Jesus destroys Sodom and Gomorrah. And you can read it. It's actually as clear cut as anything. Jesus is responsible for it. So all these people that say, "Oh, it's different now with Jesus," no, Jesus is who Abraham is speaking to in Genesis 18, and as entitled God the Lord. So that's all I wanted to say. That's all I wanted to say. The Bible will shock you. Anyway, carry on with your low down secular talk.
Well, we've still got super chats and questions to get through.
All right. Finish theirs, and I'm going to go. It's nearly 9:30.
We haven't even got to NASCAR yet.
Yeah, the garage door noose.
You guys can have fun doing that. Do you want to do the super chats and the questions, and then I'll
all right.
I'll get going.
Well, it's up to you not to hijack the stream if you want to go.
No, I like hijacking the stream.
That's half the reason we're here.
Yeah,
It's like how you blamed me for going half an hour overtime on Uncancelables with Mark Collette when you.
That was your fault, though.
No, you kept dragging it out as well.
Actually, no, because I said, how about we finish up, and then you're just like, oh, so anyway, Mark, blah 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 blah, and I'm just like, all right, I'll go with the flow.
No, I would have been 10 minutes more. You made it 30 minutes more.
Whatever you say, Tim.
Speaking of Mark Collette, James Fox Higgins had the honour of being the first Uncancelables panelist to feature on Patriotic Weekly Review this morning, Australian time.
I've never been asked. I'm obviously too extreme for Mark Collette.
Well, to be fair, James is the most sort of phonogenic one of us, so it's. I think Mark wanted to sort of showcase sort of an Australian Bruce-looking figure.
He's saying that I'm a Bruce-looking figure. Is that what you said?
No, I didn't say that. I said James.
Okay. James. Yeah, he's a photogenic guy, isn't he? He's got that photo that look of someone who does well on camera. Not like any of us, unfortunately. I look all right with a haircut, but not today. Definitely not.
I used to look good years ago.
And then you took an arrow to the face.
Yeah. I saw an old photograph of you, Dave, with hair, big hair.
Yeah, those were my degenerate years.
You've got long curly hair. You had long curly hair.
Yeah,
are you sure, like David? Are you sure there's not some blue? You're not like dyeing your blue skin white. I just.
It's all Anglo-Saxon.
Yeah.
Anglo-Saxon.
David is an interesting name, and maybe last name is Hiscoxal.
These are Maddie's.
Hisberg.
Hisberg, there you go.
These are Maddie's coded YouTube words. Just how you, Stephen, replaced the word coronavirus with censored in your Amazon book. Maddie has all of these coded words so it gets through the YouTube algorithm. Though you had a guest last Friday night who didn't understand the code words. No,
he didn't, and he repeatedly referred to a certain race of individuals as not a monkey, but a different kind of animal. And I mean, I'm happy if he wants to say things like that, whatever. He can say things like that, but I wouldn't say things like that, and I don't think YouTube would like it. And the thing is, Reviler is a really good guy, so I'm not holding it against him. And I told him after, and he was like, sorry, man. But it's all right. I made the stream a BitChute exclusive because I'm not hiding from it.
We should get him on here.
Yeah, get him on the Uncancelables. He's good.
Well, not if he's going to blurt out stuff like that.
We'll send him a list. We'll send him a list of all the code words.
Yeah, exactly. He just needs to know the code. He just needs to know joggers is okay, basketball Americans is okay, Levantine money changes is okay, the blue people is okay. Remember Specsavers? You can call them Specsavers.
I don't know what the blue people are.
The blue people, you got to look that meme up. I'm not going to explain it to you.
All right.
Sorry.
I'll get to the super chat now. The Australian Vanguard has sent through $3 Thank you for that. Go free of anti-white mean pathogens and step beyond the anti-white narrative. Write our story with our words in which we are the heroes of our people. Nothing else can save us but going free.
Good one.
Yeah. And the Lord. Well, the Lord.
Naughty Designer sent through another super chat for $3. these maps, referring to the coronavirus hotspots maps, would work for fatherlessness and domestic violence, etc. Possibly.
Maybe. Maybe.
Because it's, I do know that those hotspot areas, they do have trouble with certain crime gangs.
Oh, yes. With youths? Are they youth crime gangs?
Yes, youths.
Youths, yes.
Youths.
Yeah, you've got to watch out for those youths. Young people these days.
Of no specific denomination or origin.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Just youths.
Just youths, yeah.
At Sunbury train station, which is in the city of Hume, one of Melbourne's coronavirus hotspots, there was a gang brawl at the train station involving 100 youths. Police couldn't control it. I assume since the outdoor gatherings have been restricted to 10, those 100 youths are going to be fined. They're going to obey directions to self-isolate and get coronavirus testing.
Every single one of them, yeah. It's just, isn't it just a joke? Just an absolute complete joke. Like for people who've been conducting business online for like the last 3 months, for people who like hospitality stuff, I know people who have lost jobs and haven't been able to work, and what are they going to do? Like hospitality is a bit of a fake industry anyway, but like all of these people have been following the rules and have like just lost money over all of this, and then you have these just blatant double standards.
Yeah, did you hear about? It was in the Daily Mail today. The family who broke public health restrictions by celebrating the end of Ramadan caused one of Victoria's biggest COVID-19 clusters. A gathering at Coburg last month has been linked to at least 14 new cases. All attendees at the Eat It gathering were in breach of Victoria's coronavirus laws. So I'm not sure if this is the actual photos. That's the actual photo of it. It might be a different gathering. But yes, remember that there was a Muslim wedding during the beginning of the pandemic. You remember that, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where police just told them to social distance, and that's all.
Complete double standards.
All right, let's go to the questions. We've got a new questioner tonight, Tony the Libertarian. Does that profile name ring a bell to anyone?
No.
Their first question is, when will Dave get married? He needs to make white babies. I heard Dia is single. This is
it's got to be within my own ethnicity.
This has been an ongoing sort of, I think, nudge to both of you, because the clock's ticking for both of you.
Yeah, no miscegenation.
So she's not white.
Have you gone out and actually tried to meet a lovely little white girl, white lady, white woman?
Are there any left?
Non-Karen white women.
Non-Karen white girls.
Non-Karen.
Non-Karen white girls.
They're all in Black Lives Matter now, aren't they?
Well, what you got to do? I mean, the thing about women is women will follow a man if the man is a man, and this is why the Bible. It's one of the reasons the Bible says the man shall rule over the woman. The man is the head of the woman, as Christ is the head of the church. I mean, this is why it says it. And if we followed that rule, if men actually were men and actually stood up for themselves and asserted themselves as men, as the authority in the house and the final authority in the house, marriages would be a hell of a lot better. Like, I find my marriage has improved way more than it was before, just by me saying, this is what God says, I'm in charge, shut up. Not in those words. Sometimes I have said that a couple of times because she needed to be put in her place. But this is basically the attitude that you've got to have. I mean, you'll listen to your wife, and you won't. It's not like you've got to love them. You actually have to love them as Christ loved the church. But at the same time, they have to understand that you are the authority. Your say, what you say goes, and that's that. You put your foot down. If you say no, that means no. If you say you're doing something, that means you're doing something. And that's just the way a marriage is supposed to be. And if women submitted to their husband as they were supposed to, because that's what they are supposed to submit to their husband, and men, the problem, and also men actually stood up and became that authority, because a lot of the time it's, the woman might want to submit. Women deep down, they want to submit, but the men aren't actually doing it. But if both parties actually did this, the marriages, they'd find their marriages just got a hell of a lot better. You fight less. You fight way less, and things are a lot smoother. Everyone knows who's in charge, and there's no questioning about it. Look, sometimes you'll still have fights every now and then. You'll still have disagreements, but at the end of the day, everyone knows who's in charge. And this is how humans are actually designed. We're designed to have a hierarchy and authority, and that includes being in the home. Like this feminist idea of having, we've got to be equal. We have to be equal. Women need an equal say. I mean, men and women are not equal. We're not the same. We're very different. I mean, we're not worse than each other. One man isn't worse than a woman woman's not worse than a man, but we're not equal. Men
complementary, it's called.
We're complementary. Well, men are stronger, and we're more assertive, and that's just the way we're designed. We're more logical. Women are more emotional, and they're more tender, and they're more caring, and they're better at all the what we would consider wifely things. So the sooner people understand that this is just the way we are, and it's not that the Bible is saying it because this is what God says, this is how we are designed, this is what nature says. As soon as we realize that and start going back to the traditional roles, then we're going to see a lot less single parenthood. We're going to see a lot less whores, a lot less whoremongering, a lot less divorces, and children are going to grow up in households that are a lot more loving as well. So it's actually for everyone's benefit. Feminism is cancer. Feminism is cancer. The first feminists, I'm going to say this right now, the first feminists, those terrorists, they should have been put on trial for terrorism and hung in public. And that would have put it out. Do not suffer a witch to live. They're witches. We should burn them at the stake if we need to.
Make their suffragettes suffer.
Basically, they were terrorists. They were terrorists. And look what they've done to our society. They were dangerous. And the Lord says, do not suffer a witch to live. Feminists are witches.
But did they do it, or did the white men do it to themselves? I mean, don't you think that it's very, very telling that all of these Karens are turning to black men because they are more men than most white men these days?
Definitely, 100%. And that's why I said it's outside
of the marriage. It's out in dating land and outside
everywhere. It's everywhere.
But especially outside, where so-called men who are just basically effeminate boys are trying to find women, and the women are turning to men of other races because they are more men than our own at the moment. They're
more masculine. They're more like they are looking for that masculine man, the strong man that they can actually be attracted to. And you're completely right. So again, it's not. Don't forget, it would have taken the men to have the balls to actually do what I just said. The men would have had to have stood up. So I blame our fathers. I blame men more than I blame women, because women are the weaker vessel. We are supposed to protect them, and we're supposed to love them. And part of loving our women and loving our ladies is being men and showing them, being that authority for them. It's actually a horrible thing to be an effeminate man with a woman and to be a submissive man to a woman if you're married to them, or even it's a horrible thing that men are submissive right now across our society. It's really bad for everyone at the end of the day. We're not doing women any favors. We're actually showing them. It's like saying that, I love my child, so I give them everything that they want and everything that they demand. No, if he who spares his rod hates his son. If you don't put the foot down, and if you don't assert yourself as a man, and if men don't stand up and be that masculine leader and authority, then they are showing hate for women. That's a hate for women, because you're not doing what is best for them and for yourself.
Absolutely.
There was a question in the chat from a Sophia Marie asking what's Stephen's wife motto.
I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to be assertive on camera.
Who's a Sophia Marie? Who's Sophia Marie?
Well, I know
she's
trying to make me cock on camera.
Is that your wife?
Yeah.
Tell her to do the laundry. tell you, hey honey, you gotta. Hey, Steve's wife, go and do you have something to clean?
She's actually working at the moment. I'm doing the housework. After saying all of that, because I'm at the moment applying for jobs, and she's got a part-time job, so she's off.
Do you have kids?
So, they're out at home. I've got grandkids there. Yeah.
Whatever. At least you don't have kids that you're providing. We'll let you off this time, Steve.
Oh, you caught me.
Caught
me out. Go out, I'm ashamed. I can never come back. Never come back.
You're not right with God at all. That's the truth. But
I've only just started the Bible. Give me some time.
That's all right. That's all right. You haven't got to First Timothy or.
No, I haven't even got through. I haven't got past leavened bread yet. So
that's right. So thou shalt.
Dave's fallen off the screen again.
You're telling me to sort out my marriage, and I haven't even sorted out the damn bread yet.
Yes, thou shalt not offer leavened bread. Leavened bread is an abomination to the Lord. Yeah. I love how specific it's like. It's very God was really OCD in the law of Moses, and he loosened up a little bit. All right, I've sent my son. It's all good. Yeah. You don't have to offer those specific incense.
No more wrapped kebabs for me. That's all I can say.
That's all right. I don't need that.
Sophia is laughing in the chat now.
Yeah, so no more wrapped kebabs. That's a good one. I like that. Deuteronomy is a pretty good chapter as well. Wait until Deuteronomy 23. I'll let you know that's the nationalist. That's the nationalist chapter. And there's also some really good. They also have there's all good laws on inheritance and things like that.
We'll move on.
I'm reading about 5 to 10 pages a day, no more. I'm just
pages.
I'm reading in verses, but I cover about 5 to 10 pages a day.
Try. I mean, if you read 15 chapters a day, you read 15 chapters a day. You'll read the book in 80 days.
Yeah, I find myself sort of tuning out, so I don't want to tune out. I want to actually.
Do you want to know? Here, I'm going to give you a trick. If you want to do this, you should read it through once, and then the second time you read it, there's actually on the internet on YouTube, there's a dramatized reading of it. So what I'm doing now is I'm listening to it and reading it at the same time. So it's like. It's like Bible overload. It's all going in there.
I'm still a sinful agnostic at this point. So I'm just reading it all the way through, and then I'll come back after I've read it, and then. But the goal is to read it every day from now on till the end of my life. Whether that turns me into whether I find what you found or whether I don't or not. At least my logic behind it was this was what our civilization is based on, and I need to understand it. And
all you need is the gospel if you want to really find it. That's really all you need. That's the most important part. But everything else is pretty good. Wait until you read Judges, Joshua and Judges. Joshua's a fun book. Lots of thou shalt put them all to the sword and burn the city to the ground.
Well, I've had that philosophy all my life.
Yeah.
It's just nuts.
Now, what has happened now? Maddie's like,
I'm trying to find the love bit. I don't know where that.
Maddie, you said you've got to go after the questions.
I do, but you're still not answering. You're still not asking questions.
Well, you're the one who's having these long-winded answers, keeping yourself on longer.
Steve's fault. It's Steve's fault.
No, it's also your fault as well.
I blame Steve.
No,
so does Sophia Marie.
You don't take responsibility that when it comes to going overtime, you're your own worst enemy.
That's not true. I deny that allegation.
All right.
We are on the Uncancelables after all. We do not.
Oh, that's
never cuck.
Never cuck.
Yeah.
So Tony the Libertarian, his second question. So Black Lives Matter demand equality, but how are we going to get white men to rape 20,000 black women in a year? That's quite a foully put question.
But it's the point, isn't it? There's a reason they do it. They know exactly what they're doing when they're doing that. They are deliberately defiling us. They're deliberately defiling our women. They're deliberately spoiling our race, spoiling our genes.
Yeah.
It's a weapon of war. They're doing it deliberately as a weapon of war.
I don't support such a proposition. That's horrible.
Well, you know.
Well, exactly. Like how are we going to get it to happen? It's impossible.
I wouldn't touch him with a 30-foot pole for starters. So you know.
Or maybe we could prevent. Well, I'm not sure what 20,000 figure he's referring to, Tony. The libertarian, but it'd be good if those 20,000 rapes didn't happen in the first place.
Yeah.
So there wouldn't have to be, as he's proposing, an equality of rapes, which sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it might be a bit of a joke question. You know, it's probably a joke question. Maybe it was just put up there for laughs. You know.
Yeah. Tony.
Satire. It was satire. Yeah.
It was satire until it wasn't.
It is getting late, so I'm actually
until everybody
overtime.
Yeah.
I am overtime. I've got to get going, lads and ladies.
All right. Bye.
Thanks, audience. Come and join us Monday or Sunday night at 8:30 for my live stream. XYZ Live's not this week because Dave wanted to do a conference, whatever.
Yeah, we're doing a conference.
But Matty Rose Live will be on Sunday at 8:30. So come and join me there on my channel, Matty Rose Live. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See you, Matty.
I was expecting him to disappear through the crack in the door.
There we go.
Hey, someone else is coming on.
Yeah.
Neil's iPhone.
Hello?
What's going on, Timmy?
Hey, you just popped in when Maddie left.
Am I on video or audio?
Oh, you're just on audio. We can hear what's going on in the background as well.
Yeah, so.
Hello.
What's going on?
Hang on, I gotta swap the names around because
It sounded like you. It did sound like you are where you are.
I only see Dave.
Oh, change
there we go.
that's the little box thing that you.
I think because you're on mobile, you've got it so you only see who's speaking.
Do you want me to do side profile?
Oh, it's up to you. You're the one that's seeing it. Oh, we can see a widescreen version of you now. Yes.
What's going on, boys?
Yeah, we're trying to get through these questions, but Maddie kept going on tangents and hijacking the streams as he normally does.
So now, Neil, now it's your job to hijack the stream.
Maddie's done his work for the night, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I told him he has it's a serious issue because he blames us for going overtime, yet he's the one that stretches the time. He's got to admit that, it's his fault.
Sometimes it is. If he goes on about God, I think, it's probably his fault.
We have no idea what you're talking about there.
Usually when he gets into the God subject, he usually does eat up a bit of time.
If I don't feel like talking for a bit, I'll ask a leading question.
What are you doing? How's the show going? I haven't seen much of it.
Oh, it's been amazing.
All about leaving
Matty. Yeah. There's this thing about bread. We discussed ingredients of bread for about half an hour, pretty much. Yeah. And the rest of it has just been about stoning.
Yeah, stoning's pretty positive.
Yes.
I agree. I concur.
It's a bit, what is it? Ancient,
but effective. It's effective.
All right, we've still got these two questions to go through. Naughty
go for it.
Has got a question. You discover the failure of secondary feminization phase of your 50-litre brew is due to weeks of sub 20 degrees identified by a mate. What litre number do I reward them with? So that's a question about brewing. You're drinking at the moment. Neil, I didn't know that beer could be... No, fermentation. That's what he's saying. Or they are saying.
Tim, you were just here before, like about an hour ago. What happened? Like you're anti-alcohol now, all of a sudden, or
Show must go on.
you were sculling them down pretty well. I thought we were going to have another Dia episode, man. Taking a piss in the toilet while you got the mic on.
Make sure you don't do that.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, because we're very conscious on this show to make sure that we keep the toiletries off air.
You got to try, mate. You got to try. People are degenerate enough without that,
Yeah, because we don't want to take after a certain watcher of this show.
True.
Oh, so does somebody want to answer that beer question?
It's above my pay grade, that one.
So what's the question?
You discover the failure of the secondary fermentation phase of your 50-litre brewery is due to weeks of sub 20 degrees identified by a mate. What litre number do I reward them with?
Feminism is cancer.
I thought he said feminization, but he meant fermenization.
I don't know. The question sounds retarded. I don't know.
Oh, well, Naughty Design did send us through 2 super chats, so obviously
I live in the West. I buy my beer. I don't homebrew my own.
I've drunk homebrew before. Thankfully, I didn't go blind from the mate who did it for me. It was a strong homebrew.
Yeah, I haven't drunk homebrew since I was about 15, and
you haven't missed it.
It's about the only alcoholic drink where the words "never again" were actually.
Yeah, I don't miss it. I don't miss homebrew.
All right, final question is from James Boom. Stephen Wells, please share your thoughts on the Burnley White Lives Matter banner and the left's hysterical reaction. Yes, because the guy lost his job.
Yeah, you'll have to. I've missed the story. I mean, sort of, Phil, give me the basics of it.
All right, I'll bring it up here. So, Burnley fan and his girlfriend are both sacked from their jobs after he chartered the plane that flew the White Lives Matter banner over Etihad Stadium. Tell those.
So he was doxxed and let go, was he?
Yeah, here he is. Here, Jake Heppel pictures with his girlfriend Megan Rambert. Oh, and look, they found a photo of him from 2013, putting a finger to his lip, the Basil Fawlty.
Oh, he's doing that, was he? Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah.
Well, I mean, he should obviously be made into a hero. He should probably get a statue made of him and put a statue of him all over Australia. Good on the guy.
So this is why the BBC was right to remove that Basil Fawlty episode, because look, it made that guy do it and then do the finger on the mustache and also fly the White Lives Matter plane.
Yeah, that well-known Nazi John Cleese, who's been a champion of white supremacy all of his life.
Well, Monty Python, they were all straight white males.
Well, they were white males.
Yeah. Did you see this raised eyebrow? Yeah.
Graham Chapman was a bit not quite in a line, was he? He was a bit more curvy.
Yeah, stones for him.
Yeah.
What else have I got on the list here? New racist things this week. The ABC they had to cut their 7:45 a.m. radio news, but they wanted to put together a segment to discuss whether chess was racist because white always goes first.
It's all part of the psyop, isn't it? It's just they're anything which, like, a stupid, retarded, fringe professor said 10, 20 years ago, they're just saying, hey, let's just see how far we can go with this crazy stuff and put it up on a supposedly trusted news source. Yeah.
Chess has been maligned for decades anyway because of how many men play it and how few girls get to a high rating, you know, and it's all because of sexism that
it's a very male-brained game, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm a keen chess player myself, so since I've lost my job, I've been sort of brushing up on my skills and trying to get a 2000 rating going. And so I was watching an IM on a podcast the other day, and he was saying that in his opinion, the main difference between you tend to get a separation between skills round about the age of puberty, when boys suddenly become obsessive and focused on a particular thing, and it's like gamers is the same kind of thing. Men, boys in particular, especially at that age when you're developing, we do tend to become focused on one particular thing, and we become absolutely obsessive on it. We become obsessive compulsive on it, and that's what you need to be a good chess player. And
yes,
most women just simply are not that tunnel visioned, because that is genetics. Women want a wide variety of experiences, whereas men will go, okay, I'm going to play World of Warcraft for the next 10 years and not leave my house, or I'm going to play the electric guitar 12 hours a day for the next 10 years until I can do every single Van Halen shred or whatever. So it's,
women are tunnels, though.
Women have a tunnel.
They're tunnels. They're tunnels.
The tunnels.
You keep making me fall off the edge of the screen. Neil.
And what else? Because chess was invented in the 6th century, so it's been racist for 1400 years. Remember?
Yeah, it was invented. Wasn't it invented by the most racist nation on the world, China?
That's what I've been told.
Ching chong, ching chong.
Yeah, that's what they called it originally. Yeah.
Oh, so now I know why it's called chess. It was originally called chum.
Yes. Oh.
But yeah, I do enjoy a good chess game.
Yeah.
I became obsessive with it when I learned when I was about 9. It was about 2 years when I was at one school where we had a high focus on it. I was very obsessive on it, and then moved house, changed schools, and the next school I went to, nobody played, and that was the end of my chess for about for years and years and years.
Yeah,
but,
right.
come back to it in my adult years. I was so about 20 years ago, I was living in the Netherlands, and they've got a strong chess. What's the word? Culture, yeah. Infrastructure is the word I was looking for. And so I joined a club, and sort of took my ratings from when I was 11 and brought it up to a club player, and then I come over here, and very few people play it over here. But now the internet's come along, and
the internet's great for it.
Yeah, and so now I'm out of a job, so I've got extra time to play. So I've been in between applying for jobs. I'm like, just have a quick 5-minute game of chess. And
yeah, good. Me and my housemate, we've had some long battles. It's been quite fun. I was falling behind because he was better at his opening game, but then I learned his tricks, and so I was catching up on him, and we didn't play any games after that. He doesn't want to take me on anymore.
Yeah, my wife won't play any games with me at all. She ends up hating me no matter what we play,
yeah, right.
because I can't be uncompetitive in anything.
Well, you can't teach somebody how to play chess by going easy on them. Like the only way to learn chess is to like suck at it until you can beat somebody. Like you have to like really want to beat somebody to get better at it. Like because my dad taught me how to play chess when I was a kid, and I had no idea what I was doing. And he always beat me, and I studied and studied and studied so I could beat my dad. Yeah. And it was great. I eventually got to the point where I beat him, and it was the best. Like the first time that I actually beat my dad, like I think he was so. It got him so much that he actually resigned. He realized he was losing, so he resigned.
He resigned.
Yeah, that was such a great defeat. So that's if your wife wants to get good at chess, you just got to keep flogging her.
No, she doesn't. She wants marital harmony. Okay,
yeah, that's a good point. Well, and that gets back to the point, isn't it? Like, the chess is a bloke's game. Like, it's male-brained. And I really like your point about how blokes become obsessed about stuff, and that explains like why men generally, like in IQ and like when you look at people who are good at stuff, like you've got a lot of women sort of in the middle, and you've got a lot of blokes who are sort of stretched. Like there are a lot of guys who are really bad at stuff, and a lot of guys who are really, really, really good at stuff. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see like the academic potential of men and women being particularly different. It's more of proclivity and desire and focus and obsessiveness. So it's not how intelligent we are, it's where we apply our intelligence to.
Yes.
And so women will more likely apply their intelligence to a wide range of things. Not always, obviously. I mean, this is what leftists always home in on. They always say, oh, well, you shouldn't treat everybody all the people the same, because obviously not all women are like that. And you're like, well, no, but the majority of women tend to have a wide range of interests, and the majority of men look at something and go, I like that, and I can't be bothered to look at anything else because I found this, and I'll focus on this. So I did chess for ages, and then when I couldn't play chess anymore, then I got into athletics, and I was obsessive about athletics. And when I couldn't do it, when I realized I wasn't going to become the next 400-meter hurdles champion, I quit that, and then I became obsessive about acting, and then I got in the casino, and I became obsessive about being the best dealer, and there's always, but it's never been like, oh, I'm doing this and this and this and this and this. It's like, no, I'm on this now, and that person is better than me, and I don't like being not as good as that person, so I'm going to work until I'm better than them.
Male-brained, yeah.
Come up with a solution to this racist chess game. Maybe we need to get rid of the black pieces and make them red.
Them all white.
No, make them red. Because
the rainbow.
Remember
rainbow chess pieces.
Remember with Uncle Ben's last week, apparently that was racist to have a black man on a packet of rice, so they just took him off.
That's racist too. So
we could make the entire board white and have all of the pieces white, and so chess could represent the ethno state.
Yeah, but
because you can't have racist. Oh, you have like sort of you could have different shades of white. Like you could have like sort of
lighter shades of pale.
Yeah, exactly. You could have French compared to English.
Still noisy where you are, Neil.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, it's not that noisy, man. Is it?
Yes.
9.
Yeah, that's better now. We've got another question here from Hyperborean Victorian. How do you all think we will come out of the great coronavirus swindle?
We won't.
Well,
the lockdown will never end. Well, let's see.
No.
Well,
sadly, all of the things that you guys have been predicting for the past a few years since you started the XYZ and everything else. This is it. It's there. It's in. There is no way to get. There is no way for the politicians to extricate themselves from the lies that they've told in this one. The lies have been too big. They've been too committed on it. You literally cannot open up anything, and because they've gone for a strategy of trying to eradicate it completely. I mean, you're seeing now already the hysteria over, 30, 40 cases, and we're talking the flu virus kills up to 700,000 people a year. Pneumonia kills millions of people a year, and they've basically framed this virus as a pneumonia-like disease, so they can literally label anybody as having coronavirus, and anybody who gets even the sniffles now can be tested as having coronavirus. And as long as that's the case, and as long as there's
Neil, your pub noise is too bad. We're gonna have to end it.
No, I'll go outside.
I'll put you.
So it's never going to end.
Jesus.
It was never designed to end, and white society, Western civilization has shown its true worth in the first lockdown round. How everybody basically just rolled over and died and allowed it to happen.
Did you hear today New South Wales, their chief officer, said that a death back in April was being reclassified as a coronavirus death? We had a fresh one in Victoria yesterday, so it went up to 103. Now where they've, including that one from back in April, our death toll now stands at 104. The one who died in Victoria was a 85-year-old.
Yeah, well, I mean, the craziest thing about this virus is that the average death rate in every country is the same as the average life expectancy. So the average death rate in Italy, which is one of the worst supposedly hit areas, was 79.5. So that was the average age of death from coronavirus. And the average life expectancy of Italians was 80. And the same for New York. And and then you add to it the amount of the absolute horror of various medical systems who have probably literally murdered people in hospitals, or murdered people by denying them care and sending them back to old age care homes when they were sick with something else, and then labeled them as dying as coronavirus. I used to think that the climate change scam was the biggest scientific fraud that we'd ever seen and we would ever see in history. I could never imagine any scam being worse than the climate change scam. And then coronavirus came along, and it was just like, hold my beer. You ain't seen nothing yet. The globalists have got so much more up your sleeves that you've never even thought of before. And,
absolutely.
It's
it's the thing I find interesting about what was going on last year, because we were debunking Greta Thunberg and we were debunking Extinction Rebellion. I see those two things as it's obviously that they were very well planned and very well funded. I see those two things as psyops. As I said, Greta was so obviously retarded that to present her as some kind of expert on so-called climate change, it's brilliant gaslighting, and it's classic mind control. You confront people with something which is so obviously false that to challenge it, you just don't know where to begin.
It's like genocidal gaslighting.
Yes,
it's gaslighting on a genocidal scale.
Yes.
And the thing that I've learned this year, I spent the last 5 years learning everything I could about climate physics, about atmospheric physics and thermodynamics, and trying to learn all of the facts. And it's dawned on me this year that it doesn't matter what the truth is, because what really matters is how cucked the rest of our civilization is, and how they will simply roll over and just take whatever orders are given to them because it's easier.
We've been programmed.
Yeah. we're just so lazy, so apathetic. And you know, and I even include ourselves, you know, all of us in this as well. You know, if you look back at people who would have fought for civilization before, we would have been the cocks back then, because I can look at myself and go, I could do so much more. I should be doing so much more. And but the evil ones, they're obsessive and we're not. And we're the last line of defense, and everybody around us is just saying, "Oh, I should be right, mate. Oh, just go along with it. Why don't you wear a mask?"
Yeah.
You know, oh, what does it matter if they put up a few more windmills?
Even our chief health officers in Australia, they concede that basically masks don't work. All they do is make you look like a dickhead, but they do virtue the fact that you're taking the virus seriously, that you've got this symbol on your face that I don't want to infect others, I'm taking it super seriously.
Well, that's the whole thing about it, isn't it? Is that the whole what's become important now is not what you know. It's not what you can. It's who do you side with, and do you display your colours? And so, like, wearing a mask is like displaying your loyalty to the cause, if you like. It's got nothing. It's been so detached from reality for so long, but this year's really sort of brought it home. That it's no longer anything to do with the truth. It's all to do with, are you a good citizen or are you a troublemaker? And that's really all it's about.
At least in Australia, we've avoided those ridiculous encounters in the United States where people turfed out of Walmarts or whatever because they haven't got a mask or dragged off public transport, and they manhandle them. Most of them don't have gloves on. They're grabbing their arms and hands to get them off for not wearing a mask, so breaching the social distancing.
Hey, ladies, I'll let you go. Tim's complaining about the noise, the background noise.
Yeah, or take care tonight. Don't get a hangover tomorrow morning.
No, I won't.
Do you want to do?
I just want to leave one message.
Do you want to do one last segment in the toilet?
Just want to go to the toilet?
No.
You want me to do a DR?
No.
Leave the mic on? I'll go to the toilet. Like
Show your respect.
No, you know what? I'll up it. I'll do a shit. How's that?
Well, if you do that, I'll press the dump button I've got here. There. If you're going to take a dump, I'll dump you.
Nah, that's all good. I'll save it up for later. I'll impress some chick over my dump. I won't leave it live. All right, guys. Catch you later. See you, Dave.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yes.
Yeah, see you. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, the question really is it going to end? The question is, what do we do? Really, the question is, how do we move forward? Because we're small of number. So it's really a case of how do we personally find our way through this? I'm kind of over the stage of trying to rally the troops and get resistance. I'm more of the case of if asked, I will say, look, this is what you need to wake up to. But I'm really in a phase of trying to protect myself and my family going forward, and trying to find allies who will bail me out in bad situations. What about you guys?
Yeah, that's. I see it as sort of we've got two approaches, and one is to still fight in the public sphere as bitterly as we can, and the other is to make sure that we have a parachute or an arc, essentially. I think it's important to fight on both fronts. So fight as though we're not going to give a single inch, but fight a bit. But yeah, make sure that if we lose, we can still survive and keep our people alive. I've said before, I find it interesting how one of the very first foundational books, stories from the Bible is the story of Noah's Ark. The idea that like the entire world is going to be destroyed, and you have to keep your family alive, and so that I think it's a primal story for a reason.
So we're going on so many God tangents tonight. As you know, I'm an atheist, and so I can cope with many biblical references, but I think, well, Maddie always overdoes it.
So the point here is that like we've got communities building all over the West, small communities that, you know, they might be a few people, they might be dozens of people, they might be a few hundred, but enough people get it that like if stuff does just absolutely fall apart, there'll be enough communities that one of them or enough of them will survive, that like we as a people will survive. Fight as bitterly as you can, but build communities.
Yeah.
I had on my weekly Wilmsfront show, which will be returning to twice a week next week, Mondays and Wednesdays, 6:30 p.m. Melbourne time, Nick Griffin, who was the leader of the British National Party from 1999 to 2014. He's of the view now that, well, Britain and Western civilization will collapse, and it's up to people such as us to make choices about how we want to protect our loved ones, the others in our community, to basically survive the collapse and rebuild.
I think you all have to move to Perth. That's I keep saying to you.
We're not allowed to move to Perth. What's
We're stuck with Melbourne, basically. Yeah. Melbourne is our hill to die on, I think.
Well, it's Dan Andrews now realizes that he can't go to a second lockdown because you can only wreck the economy once, and maybe China doesn't have a bottomless pit to bail Victoria out a second time with the Belt and Road. So he's only pondering regional lockdowns in the hotspots. So in the local government areas and suburbs, and they're going on this testing blitz. But I said this last night, but I'll say it again. I think the reason why Dan Andrews went to such a severe lockdown, keeping us under house arrest, even banning golf, saying if we played golf we would die, is because he knew that his government couldn't handle a outbreak, and so they just hoped that with everyone locked up and handing out all these fines, they just crossed their fingers and hoped that that would kill the coronavirus. And it didn't, because of, well, their voter base, the communists in the inner cities and the multicultural communities in the northwest.
Well, anywhere there's bad health, people are going to test positive with the faulty test. So it will show up in areas of poor nutrition. It'll show up in areas of old age. It'll show up in areas of bad habits. So drug users and all the rest. I mean, that's the other thing about all the statistics that have been released, is that they're all showing that, again, we're talking numbers over 90%, sometimes as high as 99%, that everybody labeled as dying of coronavirus has had a comorbidity. And it's just, the numbers are so farcical. It is impossible to know if it's twisted truth or zero truth and all made up. You can't actually find out what reality is with this disease. What? You have no way of knowing, because the statistics are so flawed. You don't know whether there's been a real virus that has come through and only hit old people and sick people, or if old people and sick people have simply been labeled for any respiratory illness that they might have had anyway as having this coronavirus, or whether high peak numbers have been because of medical malpractice. There is just so much going on, and there's just no way of finding what the exact truth is.
Who's got the sirens outside their place?
That's me, Balga. I'm in the ghetto of Perth. Yeah.
WA is going.
The helicopter's next.
Going to stage stage 4 of relaxation. So we had what is it? I think it was Dan Andrews who just talked about that we were at level 3 restrictions, and then Scott Morrison had the 3-step plan for a COVID-safe Australia, 3-step framework, I should say. And so WA is now going, well, it's going an extra step. It's going to
we've got 5 steps in all.
What's the 5th step?
WA. The 5th step is they finally open the borders and they'll allow international travel again.
What's your position on the border? Because it has the Premier and the hard border has a 90% approval rating.
Yeah, well, it just shows you how screwed up our civilization is, if that number has any merit to it. I mean, it's as I said, we've never ever, like, even back in the days of the Spanish flu, we have never ever had such draconian measures for healthy people.
No.
Try and stop an illness. This has never ever been done in history before. You can go back all the way through to pre-Christian days, and you won't find anything this draconian, anything this absolutely insane policy. And as I said, the fact that it has been implemented with barely a peep of protest from anybody, and that every business has simply not only complied but actively enforced. It's sad.
It really shows how well programmed we are.
The mobile testing setups in Melbourne's hotspots, they've actually had to close before they've even opened because they've already ran out of tests. And I noticed that I watched Channel 7 6 p.m. news on Tuesday, and they interviewed some of the people who are queuing for COVID tests, and there were a lot of Karens in there saying, I've been here for 3 hours, I'm not leaving until I get my coronavirus test. Like, you're such
I saw the queues at all the queues at High Point.
You're such a sheeple that you're like, I've got it. And of course, the panic buying has started again in Victoria. Woolworths and Coles have introduced purchase limits again. So nobody learned from the first time.
Again, except for me, who continued to buy lots of toilet paper after it was all back on the shelves, knowing that of course there would be a second run on it. So yeah, I'm fine.
Second on the runs, the second wipe.
I actually didn't mean that one. I'm quite proud of that.
Well, I put it together for you. You inadvertently.
Yeah, that's it.
But haven't
I will never have bare cupboards again. I have learned my lesson the first time round. That my whole house has got water, toilet paper, food, essentials, and I won't survive an apocalypse, but I will survive the feral Karens fighting in the aisles.
Yeah, that's it.
Well,
it's a second booger. It's a second bog roll boogeroo.
Well, and it's also happening. They posted photographs, the news outlets, of it was worse in the coronavirus hotspots, and the panic buyers looked quite ethnic and multicultural. The first
that's racist.
Yeah, it reminded me of the first toilet paper tussle and that infamous XYZ headline.
The bug roll boogaloo.
No, the other one.
3 foreign fatties fight over toilet paper. Was that it?
Yeah, which I think is still before the courts. Do you know what should be panic buying? Going back to things that are now racist, is
bullets.
No,
What?
the Nestle's Chicos, because they're brown, and apparently Chicos is a racial slur, and also Red Skins as well.
Redskins, yeah.
Redskins.
So get
Change it
down
to
to
foreskins.
Woolies or Coles and buy as many as you can before they change the packaging, because they haven't
Yeah,
decided on a new name. They've just decided that they won't have those names anymore.
I'm still missing my gollywog.
Oh, you can
Yeah.
still there's still a secret underground gollywog trade going on.
Yeah, I had a gollywog when I was a kid.
My great aunt.
I used to have a gollywog on my head.
Yeah. My late great aunt, she knitted for all of the grandkids a gollywog. So I've got one. My two younger brothers have got a gollywog. I probably shouldn't have confessed it, because now the new, what is it?
You'll get a knock on your door.
Yeah. Oh, what is it? The new, what is they called? Community engagement team. They're the ones going door to door in the hotspots. That's what they're called. They're cats.
I believe they had a community engagement team going door to door in the Ukraine in the 1930s as well. Yeah.
Looking for grain.
Yeah,
This
that's
time-
it.
this time-
Did
Yeah.
oh yeah. No, you continue your joke.
This time looking for black wool woven in a particular way.
Yeah, that's it. Did you see my XYZ exclusive on Vegemite as well? Apparently, they're wanting to ban that because of the history of people using it to smear over their faces for blackface performances.
Really? That would
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, don't ask me. That's what the anonymous source told me.
Yeah, I've got the article up here.
Yeah.
So trigger warning, it's a blackface.
I watched some historical TV drama. I think it might have been on Netflix before I got rid of the subscription. I think it was to do with Mary Queen of Scots. That was it. And there were all of these black actors playing English people in it.
Oh, gee.
And because race doesn't matter.
Yes.
And
it's cultural appropriation.
But putting on a blackface,
Yeah.
But then again, I perhaps could have tolerated it more if the black actor had put on a white face.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. At least they wouldn't trying to be like blatantly lying so much.
Yeah. Put on but then of course, we would have to fight back. And we'd have to ban flour.
Yes.
We might finish the show now because we've nearly been
good call.
2 hours with the another race hate hoax. We all remember Smolletting with Jussie Smollet attacked by two white supremacists at 2 a.m. in Chicago, of all places, and saying this is MAGA country. Though it turned out he didn't hire the attackers that he hired. They weren't white themselves. They were Nigerian brothers. But this NASCAR driver, Bubba Wallace, he claimed
he looks very similar to he looks very similar to Jussie Smollet.
Yeah, he claimed he found a noose
in
his garage, and it was the garage door. I think whoever.
Did you see apparently, like Melbourne trams are full of nooses. Like you see, like they've got nooses all the way down the rail.
Yeah, who invented these nooses? That is whoever invented that. I think they should be hung with the noose they created. Don't you?
Yes.
I don't know. Was he white?
I don't know. Maybe this is what we need to investigate. Since
Well,
we're investigating.
only if he's white, obviously. If he was somebody else, then obviously not. Because
given that Tim used the word invented, I'll pretty much assume that it was a white person.
Yeah, it's such a lame complaint as well. Like somebody left he got beaten up, not that he got attacked or death threats. No, I found a noose. I promise I didn't tie it myself. I wasn't depressed.
Yeah.
So we've got now Smolletting will be replaced with bubbling.
Bubbling. Yeah. Bubble the noose.
So now
there's a noose loose about this house.
All right, we've
That's
got
pretty good Scottish.
Before we wrap up, we've got another super chat and a few more questions. Savnik, $50. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You should quit smoking, Neil. Cigarettes are white supremacy, except that brown bit at the end. You're oppressing. Don't you know what? Isn't the brown bit? That's the most sort of dangerous part of it, isn't it? The cigarette, like that's how you can get burned.
Yes.
Yeah. So absolutely right there, Svavnik. Binary Agenda has asked Stephen, if your theory is true, why can't Australian states conduct tens of thousands of tests and find no new coronavirus cases? Well, Daniel Andrews has, and I don't think I got around to mentioning before that Essendon player, Colin McGregor, who tested positive, he had like 3 negatives, then he tested positive, now he's tested negative again. And so they had to call off the Essendon Melbourne game.
That was no great loss.
Yeah, the thing is about the testing and about any of it really. I can't really tell you what my complete theory is because, as I said, it's impossible to find out what the truth is. There are so many lies going on so many levels. You don't know what's made up and what's not. People are. The flu dies off every year. People still get pneumonia, and I just don't know. All I know is the statistics that have been released and how there is logical inconsistencies all the way through it. No matter where you look, no number fits with another number. Every statement contradicts another statement, and so. I would say the main thing that I've discovered is that if you are healthy, and especially if you are young and healthy, you are not at risk of death. Full stop. End of story.
And the Australian Vanguard has added binary is right. Their tests do not show positive for normal flu, only SARS-2. Again,
we get told things. And people choose to believe what they choose to believe. Anybody who wants to go on to the health aspect of it, there are plenty of very, very high qualified doctors and virologists who have different interpretations of what this coronavirus is, and take your pick. But what I will say is that when the government comes along and says, we have listened to the experts, no, they have listened to their health advisors. Their health advisors, any government advisor in any field is not an expert, because if they were an expert, they wouldn't be working for the government in the first place.
Well, and it's also their preferred expert, the experts they like to listen to.
Yes.
Well, it's experts employed by them. It's experts employed by the government. I mean, like, for example, Dr. Fauci in America, he hasn't treated a patient in 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's not seen any patients. He's not done any research himself. He's just the person who has been the head of the administration since, Reagan, I believe. 6 administrations he's been in that position for. He's not a health expert. He's a top bureaucrat. He's a fraud. He's a con artist. He's a crook. He's a thief. He's a liar. He's everything but a health expert. The health experts are the ones who are getting banned by YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that's a good topic to end on, because, well, Gavin McGuinness, he got banned from YouTube permanently. So did the Iconoclast, who's a British nationalist YouTuber. And of course, probably the biggest casualty of the past week was Katie Hopkins. She got banned from Twitter. She had 1 million followers and was retweeted and mentioned by President
What did she
Trump.
say?
I mean, the exact tweet, it was something that she said
Tom
that was
Cruise lives matter?
interpreted as racist. I'll see if I've. She was. I wrote an article for it on the Unshackled, which is she was suspended for violating our rules against hateful conduct. And this is Gavin McGuinness, is due to repeated severe violations of our community guidelines. So those two social media publishers, which we call them, terminated their account. I'll try to look for it just a moment. But yes, Katie.
This is Tom Cruise's wife we're talking about, isn't it?
Katie Hopkins.
Is that the lady, or am I thinking of somebody else?
Katie Holmes. That's who you're thinking of.
Ah, okay. It's sad. I wonder. Let me all these Tom Cruise jokes.
You know,
Make an idiot of myself.
We are reaching the 2 hour mark, so you know.
Is she the is she the English lady who is that the one we're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
And okay, so she's been...
So the tweet that got her banned was when she said "hung like a baboon," which was actually a reference to a line in Blackadder, that witty British comedy from the 80s with Rowan Atkinson.
Oh, so that...
I think Twitter is racist for thinking that was racist.
Yes. Well, Blackadder is obviously racist.
Oh yeah, it's got the word black in it. So maybe just call it adder.
We're basically not allowed to use the word black in anything now.
Well, yes, and you're not allowed to show black people now, it seems. The solution to racism against blacks is to not mention black people or show black faces. That seems to be the...
I'm all for segregation. I think it's a great idea.
In Chaz or Chop that it's called now.
I'm not for segregation. I'm for separation.
Absolutely.
I think South Africa failed because it's segregated rather than separated.
In Chaz and Chop in Seattle, they've introduced racial segregation with dedicated sections for people of color.
Are you serious?
Yes.
That's amazing. That is so funny.
But
that is so cool.
But it's positive. It's positive segregation. It's
positive segregation. Yes.
Well,
it's like positive discrimination. We've had that already, so now we've got positive
segregation. I love it.
With our outbreak here in Victoria, New South Wales, they're not closing the border, but you're not allowed to buy NRL tickets now if you're from Melbourne. And the New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian said that businesses in tourist regions in the south of New South Wales should refuse service to Victorians.
Well, it's a good start. I think the whole of Australia should basically excise Victoria from the rest of the continent. And just to make it absolutely clear, the way it's looking, if you want to be able to get out of Victoria by the end of the year, you're going to have to fight your way out anyway. So they may as well make it official now and just cut off the Victorian cancer from the rest of the country.
Well, you say Victoria, but I've not been allowed to leave Perth for a couple of months. You know, we had.
You're lucky.
I'm not talking just about. I'm talking. I couldn't go from one suburb of Perth to.
You had the regional.
We had roadblocks.
That's right.
We had literally checkpoints within WA, not allowing you to go to other parts.
Checkpoint
WA.
Charlies,
right.
I call them.
That's right.
So.
If
only it was just Melbourne. I mean, perhaps we can send all of the politicians from WA to Melbourne and all the other. And reclassify the ACT as part of Victoria. Maybe that would do it.
Oh well, that's in a league of its own. The ACT. So Katie Hopkins, with her, or is being banned from Twitter, she has created a new presence on Parler, which is another free speech social media platform, which has surged in traffic and new accounts this week. I've created an account. Maddie's created an account. He mentioned before the show to you, David, you need to start an XYZ account because it safeguards user privacy by having the two-factor authenticity. Is that how you say it?
There's no such thing as privacy anywhere on the internet. If you are on the internet, you have no privacy.
Well, account security.
Everything you put on the internet, if the intelligence agencies want to know, they will find out what you said and what you've done.
A public space. It's just making sure that your account's secure. So you've got to sign in, and then you get a text message confirmation as well. So it's very, very.
So they have your phone number.
Yes, they do.
It's not secure, but yeah, like if there are people there and there's an audience there, then yeah, I'll set one up.
And when you repost something, it's not called reposting or retweeting. It's called echoing.
Glorious.
The poll that I had tonight.
Chinese whispering.
Because both you and I, the Unshackled and XYZ, have presence on Gab and Telegram and Minds.
Yep.
I basically summarize Parler. It's basically Gab, but without the anti-Semitism. So it's much more boomer, conservative, and alt-light friendly.
Yet.
I remember when Blair Cottrell, he discussed your Facebook ban this week. His perspective was anyone still allowed on Facebook is a rat or not effective.
He's right. Honestly, like the fact that I haven't like actually been banned from Facebook, it makes me convinced that I have to be a shill. It's the only explanation.
Yeah. You're a sleeper agent. You don't know that you're an agent.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm just waiting for that keyword.
Yeah,
I'm getting just to click me off.
Yeah, I'm getting fed up with this orgasm. Dave's fallen off his chair.
About half a dozen times this evening. That's great.
One final question from Hyperborean Victorian. What does Stephen think of proprietarianism? Reckon it's worth fighting for in Australia? I don't think we'll open this can of worms up tonight, but Stephen, do you know what proprietarianism is?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting. A lot of the people, sort of James Fox Higgins, I was sort of, I knew him from the libertarian days and was sort of just starting to get to know him there, and he moved, and he's sort of now chatting with John Mark and Kurt Doolittle. For the system of law and the idea of punishing liars, something has to be done along those lines. We can't allow people to lie with impunity in the future.
All right, we might wrap it up tonight. So I'll be back tomorrow night. Trad Tasman Talk is back at its trad traditional time of 6 p.m. Fridays Melbourne time on the Unshackled YouTube channel. And as I mentioned, Wilmsfront back twice a week starting next week, Monday and Wednesday evenings. And of course, Uncancelables will remain once a week on Thursday.
Beautiful. Yeah, no, everybody tune in. Next week, we are hijacking the live streams every night between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. We've got the XYZ conference. So we've got Tom Sewell speaking on Monday night. We've got James Fox Higgins Tuesday, Mark Moncrief on Wednesday, Adam Pickett on Thursday, and Blair Cottrell will be speaking on Friday evening. And yeah, there'll be some. They'll speak for about an hour, and there'll be an hour of Q&A afterwards. So, hope everybody enjoys. Really looking forward to it.
Stephen, any last minute plugs?
Well, you mean I should plug my books?
Yeah, plug it and
Plug my
encourage.
books.
Yeah,
I'm only here to plug my books.
on the Unshackled
God,
store.
2 hours I've waited. God, I've put up with this shit for 2 freaking hours just so I can plug my books. For God's sake, can't you have shorter programs? These are my books.
Yeah, and you
Confessions of a Climate Change Denier and The Great Coronavirus Swindle, and you can get both of them now on The Unshackled.
Yes, theunshackled.net/store. I'm keen for people to purchase it through there so we can get our commission.
Yes, don't give commission to Amazon, give commission to The Unshackled.
Not to Bezos.
No.
All right, thank you everyone for watching tonight. Thank you so much for the super chats. We had a big and generous audience tonight, which is what we love. So we'll see you next week. Until then, have a good one.